So hello and welcome. In this session, we're going to talk about IIS certificate automation inside of DigiCert CertCentral. And this is part of the CertCentral expert certification training for any of you who are following that certification track. My name is Dave Corbett. I'm a sales engineering manager here at DigiCert. So I'm going to be showing you a demonstration of how certificate automation works within the IIS environment and CertCentral. Before we get to the demo, though, I'll just talk you through a few important points that you need to know. So for us to be able to automate a certificate on IIS, there's always going to be a setup process, which is a one-time process you need to go through. So first of all, you have to install a DigiCert agent. An agent is a piece of software that you can download from our CertCentral platform. Then you'll need to configure the agent to communicate with your CertCentral account, and I'll explain how that works in a few seconds. And then once you've done that within CertCentral, you can then configure your agent and configure the different server ports where you have your certificates installed and the ones which you want to automate. For those of you who have many servers, you don't have to manually download an agent for every server. We do have an automated tool which can help you do a bulk download and install of those agents. But once they're installed, then you can manage the certificate reissue or renewal process directly from within your CertCentral account. So you can either do just log into CertCentral and schedule the reissue, or you can set up what we call the auto renew, so that every time the certificate is about to expire, it'll be automatically renewed for you, and you won't need to log in and do anything. It'll be automatically renewed, if you like, forever until you tell it to stop doing that. And we'll look at both of those options within the CertCentral platform when we get into the demo part of this session. So let's have a quick look at the configuration of the agent. So as I mentioned, in order for us to automate your certificates on a particular server platform, particularly within IIS, you need to download the agent software from the CertCentral platform, and then you'll need to configure the agent to talk to your CertCentral account. So I'm showing a couple of screenshots here. So on the left-hand side, you can configure here, and of course on a Windows server like IIS, this is all done through a Windows wizard. But on the left-hand side, you can see that you can configure how your agent should be communicating with your CertCentral account. So the agent needs to be able to talk to the internet, of course, to communicate with CertCentral. And if you want, it can communicate directly through the internet, and that's fine for many of our customers. But you can, of course, also configure it if you want to talk through a proxy server. So if you normally use a proxy server to control and to secure your communications with the internet, you can just put in the details of your proxy server and the agent will quite happily talk through that. And finally, if you don't have a proxy server, but you want all your agents to talk through a single device on the network, you can also use a DigiCert sensor, if you have one, to act as a kind of proxy as well to the internet. And this is appropriate for customers that maybe have lots of agents. They don't want them all talking directly with different connections to the cloud. They want them all talking through one connection, if you like, and using a different device as a proxy. So as I said, if you have a proxy server already, you can configure that. Or if you have a DigiCert sensor, which you may be using for discovery purposes, or maybe for automation of other devices like load balancers, then you can use that instead if you wish. And on the right-hand side, you then have to put in the information about your CertCentral account. So you'll need to put in your CertCentral username and password. And if you're using divisions in your account, then you need to choose the appropriate division that the agent will connect to. So this obviously allows us to identify the correct account and the correct privileges that the agent needs when it connects to CertCentral. But please bear in mind as well, this information is not stored on the agent. Once we've actually authenticated the agent to your CertCentral account, then the information is no longer required by the agent, and it will be deleted securely on the agent. Okay, so very shortly we're going to move on to the demonstration. So what I'm going to do is show you some of the key pieces of the IIS certificate automation workflow within CertCentral. So first of all, I'm just going to automatically issue and install a certificate onto an IIS platform. And then while that's working, I'll take you through some of the key configuration items that you can do within CertCentral around the automation of certificates. So I'm going to start by just showing you the IIS server that I'll be using for this demonstration. So you can probably see here, I've got a Windows server running Microsoft IIS Manager. And as you can probably see, if you're familiar with IIS, we have a couple of websites configured on this server. As you may know, with IIS and many other web servers, you can in fact configure multiple websites on the same IP address and port if you want to. And that's using a technology called SNI, or server name indication. And we support that if you have it configured already on your server. In this case, we do have SNI configured on the server, and we have two different websites here. I'm going to focus on the one called the default website, which is the second one in the list on the left-hand side. I'm just going to have a quick look at what is currently installed on that website. So if I look at the site bindings over here and look at port 443, which is obviously the port with the certificate on it, I can quickly look here and get information about the existing certificate on that port. And you can see here the dates. This one actually that I installed on March the 22nd, 2022. We can also have a quick look at the serial number here just to identify it exactly. As you can see, the certificate serial number starts with 04 and ends with 2B. So that is the information I've already got installed on my IIS server. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to CertCentral. And I'm going to locate that particular certificate within my automation platform. So within the automation area on CertCentral, you can see we have a number of different options here. I'm going to come back to those a little bit later to explain what some of these do. But for now, I'm just going to locate the server that I want to work with, my IIS server. And as you can see right down here, we have a certificate, which is actually a wildcard certificate. And as you can see here, it's living on an IIS 8.5 server. Now, if I want to just double check exactly which one this is, I can just click on the name, the common name here. And we can just check the details of the certificate. So just to make sure I'm working with the same one I just showed you, you can see here the dates. It starts on March 22nd, and the serial number again starts with 04 and ends with 2B. So that is the same certificate that I just showed you on the IIS server that I'm working with. So if I want to just reissue that certificate, and of course, with your CertCentral account, you can reissue certificates as often as you want. And you may want to do that for security reasons. It may be your company policy. And of course, there's no reason why you can't reissue as often as you want. And using these automation tools, which I'm going to show you, makes it very easy to do that. So if I want to just manually reissue that, I click on the reissue button on the right-hand side here. Now, at this point, I can make some changes if I want to. If I don't want to make any changes at all, I just want a new certificate, then all I've got to do is click on the legal terms, and click on Start Automation. So as simple as that, and what will happen over the next couple of minutes or so is that the process will kick off. The agent will be asked to create a new private key on the server. It'll do that, and also a new CSR file. The CSR file will be automatically uploaded to CertCentral. And at that point, it may have a pause while it waits for someone to confirm the request. Now, in my demonstration account here, we have automatic approval set. So there should be no delay while we're waiting for somebody to log in and approve. Now, obviously, some customers would have that set differently. They want to actually manually approve any certificate that goes out. But for the sake of this demo, we're just going to have automatic approval, so there's no delay while somebody has to log in and approve. Now, if you really want to kind of keep an eye on what's going on, as you can see on the right-hand side here, we have a panel which tells us, the progress of the automation. And this will normally take, I would say, maybe between 1, 2, or maybe as many as 3 minutes for the whole process. And that depends on a bunch of different factors, which I won't go into now, but I'm going to be fairly confident that by the time I've shown you a few more things in CertCentral, this whole process will have completed, and we can go back and just verify on the server exactly what's happened. So while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm going to show you a few other bits and pieces that you can do in CertCentral to help you with your automation tasks. So as I said, on the left-hand side here, we've got a few different options under automation as a header. So we'll just start with this one down here, which is called Manage Automation. So this is really where you can get in and see all the different systems that you have configured for automation. So for example here, if I just go down to this one here, this is the Microsoft server that I'm just been working with. If I click on this link here, you can see more information about the server or the host that I'm working with at the moment. So there's the host name here, the agent I've installed and what version it's using, the operating system version as well here, as you can see. Also with IIS servers, normally you have a lot of ports which may be open but not used for certificates. So once you've installed the agent and configured it, then you'll normally have to go through and tell CertCentral which ports have certificates on them that you want to automate, and which ports you want to ignore because they don't have a certificate that you're interested in using. So you can see on my IIS server here, I've got a lot of ports starting with 47001 and so on, which are open because they're used for something else, but I've configured them to be ignored because I don't want to bother with them. But you can see here port 443 is obviously the one where we normally have the web server certificate, and I've configured that as IIS version 8.5. And you can see here a little spinning wheel here because that is actually the port that we're currently working on with the automation process. And then also in this screen here, we can also see on the right-hand side here under the words managed by, it talks about which what is the agent that we're using to manage this server. So if I click on that, I'll get more information about the agent. So again, it gives us the version number of the agent, also the license key, which can be very useful, particularly for troubleshooting. And then also, last but not least here, we've got the update options. So every time we have an update to a new version of agent software, you can configure it either to update automatically, which is what we've got here, or you can click the other option to prompt me, which just means, wait until I'm ready. I'll click in this portal, and then you can go ahead and update the agent software. So obviously very convenient if you want automatic update, you'd use that option. But again, some of our customers prefer to do fairly comprehensive change control. They want to do their own testing before allowing any updates onto their network. So they would probably choose the second option in that case. Okay, I'll leave that as it is. So that's the manage automation. So the manage automation screen is where you have all your different systems listed, and you can manage the systems and the agents from within this screen. Now, the next thing we'll look at here is the profiles option. So if I click on profiles, profiles are just a very easy way of managing information about the certificates or the types of certificates that you want to be using. And you put all the information in one place into a profile. So then when you do your automation, you just select the profile that you want, and you don't have to put in any other information because all the information is already in the profile. So for example, if I click on this profile here that someone set up, the profile contains important information like what division you're going to be using if you have divisions in your account, who notifications should go to, and then probably most particularly what kind of DigiCert certificate you want to deploy. So depending on what your company policy is, you may have one or more different types of DigiCert certificate. Also, within the profile, you can put in what we call the multi-year plan details. So although certificates themselves only last a maximum of 1 year, you may have a plan which lasts 2 or more years. And you can also configure that within the profile here if you want to. And then very importantly, we also have what we call the auto renew option. So what that really means is, if you want, we will automatically renew your certificates 30 days before they expire without you needing to log in and tell us to do that. If you don't like 30 days, of course, you can change that to something else. So it could be less or more than 30 days, but that's our default setting. Also, if you have the right configuration in place, you can choose the option to automatically replace should the certificate be revoked for any reason. Obviously, that's a great thing to do as well, because you don't want to have your servers without a valid certificate at any time. So then normally you would check that box as well. And also within the profile, of course, you can see other information like the organization, the contacts. You can add more contacts if you want to. And you can also put in information, we call the custom fields here, which are kind of normally optional fields, which might be useful information to go with your order. So once you've kind of created your profile, you have to save it, and it goes back into your list of profiles. And then when you do any automation, all you do is choose the appropriate profile. Now, in my demonstration system here, I've got lots of different profiles. You probably wouldn't have this in a production account. You may have 2 or 3 different profiles, typically in a customer account. So the last screen I want to show you in this area is called the automated IPs screen. So this just really tells you all the different IP addresses where you've got automation configured. So that would mean, for example, if you've got a server with 1 or more IP addresses, they will be listed here. If you have a load balancer with 1 or more IP addresses, they'd be listed here. So if we scroll down this list, we can find, here's my wildcard that I was just in the process of automating it. And you can see on the right-hand side here, it says automation successful. Now, obviously, you may have hundreds or thousands of different IP addresses that you have under automation. So this might not be the most convenient way of finding the one you want to get to. So a better way actually is to go back to manage automation. you find the particular server that you're dealing with. In this case, this is my IIS server. And then you can click on this link on the right-hand side to see all the configured IP addresses and ports on that particular server. And obviously, in my case, on my server, I only have 2 ports. If you recall, I have 2 websites on my server. And this was the one that I was just in the process of automating slightly earlier on in this session. So if I click on this link here, automation successful, it just confirms for me all the details of what happened in the automation process and what time it happened, and the details also of the new certificate. So I've got a couple of green ticks here, which means that everything went through very smoothly with no problems. I've got an order number here on my request. I've got the time of the request. The certificate was installed with no problems. And if I want to now double check on that, what I can do is I can just close this window down. I'll look at the details of the new certificate. And you can see here that I've got a new serial number. So the serial number is starting 01 and ending in 82. So now let's go back to my IIS system. I'm going to just close down this that I was just looking at. And now I should be able to locate the new certificate on this default website. So let's go back to the bindings again, find the certificate, view it, and look at the details. And if we look at the serial number, indeed, this one starts with 01 and ends in 82. So this is the new certificate that I just automatically installed from CertCentral. And as you can see, without me having to do really anything within inside my IIS server, it's been automatically installed as the new certificate on that particular website, which in this case is my default website. And just to finish off, I'll just quickly go back into my CertCentral account. Again, if I wanted to reissue that immediately, really all I'd have to do again is click on the reissue option on the right-hand side. Again, this is the screen you may have seen before. I went through this very quickly, but because what I did before, I just wanted to make no changes and reissue it immediately. So all I had to do then was just leave everything here unchanged and just agree to the legal terms and click on Start Automation. But if I wanted to make any changes at this point, clearly I could do from here as well. So I could have chosen a different profile. As you saw, we had a number of profile options in the account. I can use this link here to go and edit or create new profiles. I can also, in this screen, I can add other host names or SANs at this point if I wanted to, or even change the common name that I'm using. If I want to schedule the automation for a particular point in the future, again, I can do that from here just by clicking on the radio button here and choosing a specific date and time in the future. Or I can say a specific number of days before expiration. So maybe 10 days, for example. And also from here, I've got the option, which I showed you before, to have the auto renew. So if I want to auto renew everything without having to log into CertCentral, I just click on auto renew. I can choose exactly how long before expiration do I want the new certificate to be deployed. Again, maybe I prefer 10 days before expiration date. And again, I've got the option here that if we find out the certificate has been revoked, we'll also auto renew or auto replace at that point as well. So once I've made any changes I want to make, again, I would just agree to the legal terms and click on Schedule Automation. And that would again go through at the date and time that I had configured previously. So that's it. Very easy to configure automation on a Microsoft IIS server. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found that useful.